Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boys, Travis Dykes. Today, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. You see, I don't have a bass in my hand. I don't really have, any music or groove to show you. But today, I want to address a question that has been coming up more and more every time that I travel, every time I do anything. And it's a question that you guys are asking, even online and everything. And it's the most asked question by far out of anything that I've ever taught or even anything is. And that question is, how do I get hired as a professional musician? Or how do I get hired? How do I get opportunities as a musician to be able to try to make this full-time, be able to make this, a part of my life and make this a career? So we're going to talk about it. Let's go. So the question of the year, like I said, is how do I get hired as a professional musician? How do I get opportunities as a musician? How do I travel as a musician? And honestly, there's no way, there's no one way, there's no exact steps that you can take to get there. That's the first thing I want to tell you in the beginning, is that there's no exact way. It's just like life. There's no exact way to get from one thing to the other. There's an attribute of things you can do to kind of better yourself, to kind of make it easier for it to happen. But the thing is, there's no exact way, one way, be like, hey, this is how you do this. And a lot of things, as everybody know, I'm a Christian. I always attribute, opportunities and things to God, and God opened that door. God did this for me, and so that is a huge and higher factor for everyone, that believes in God and everything. But the thing is that there are some things that we can do to change how people see us. Now, the first way that I want to talk about is having depth as a musician. This is the first way. I have 5 different ways I want to talk about, but this is the first way that I feel like can really help, and something that a lot of musicians nowadays take for granted. Because I've been a professional musician for about 6 years now. It's not very long. I'm only 25 years old, and I've been kind of professional since I was about 18 or 19. I don't really consider myself a professional player, but I've been playing in the professional industry since I was about 18 or 19. These are just some things that I've learned and some things that I've just observed. But the one thing that I noticed with a lot of younger musicians that are trying to get into this level, even if they're not younger, but they're just trying to get to be able to play and have opportunities, is you don't have depth. And when I say depth as a musician, it doesn't necessarily mean you're like a Corey Henry where you literally do anything. No, but the thing is that you want to be able to do a lot of things. You don't want to just have one thing that you're good at. Because nowadays there's so many musicians, there's so many people out there. There's social media like YouTube. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have all these different ways that people can hear people. The way that I get humble every day is I get on Instagram and I look at some other bass players and I'm just like, there's no reason for me to even be posting anything. There's people here that they're in like third world countries that are slaying me on bass, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is that that's the reason why we have to have depth as a musician. And we can't just take it for granted, of us being good at one thing. If gospel is the only thing I'm good at, then that's the only kind of thing that people are going to look at me for. If country is the only thing I'm good at, then that's the only thing people are going to look at me for. And then on the flip side of that, if you're playing, you're a gospel musician, and you can't play simple stuff like country or CCM or anything like that, then that makes it tough. That makes it tough for people to say, hey, come play this thing, or hey, I have an opportunity for you, because they just know you have that one thing that you're good at. But you haven't tried to create depth in yourself. You haven't tried to learn how to play more than just one genre of music, not just country, not just, CCM, not just gospel, not just, Southern gospel or pop or, R&B, all this kind of stuff. And that's the reason why you have to try to have depth as a musician. If somebody asks me, if a lot of times, especially here in Nashville, there's so many good musicians. I know for myself that I am nowhere even close to the top at all in the city. But the thing is that I would like to have, the reason why I feel like I may have, outside of God, that have opportunities is that I have a depth of like, I could play pop, I could play gospel, I can play a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I'm pretty good at, I know how to get in that pocket and kind of like study that. And so the reason why this is my first way is that I feel like you have to be able to create depth in yourself. You have to be able to learn more than one thing. You have to learn multiple things. Like me, I know when I first moved to town, I realized, man, I've got to learn how to play the synth bass because that's like something that was coming up. And I was just like, man, I've seen all these players play synth bass. That's the reason why I had to learn how to play a little bit of keyboard. Before anybody will hire you as a professional musician or as a musician at all, they want to know that you are good. All right, my second point is be humble. Humility, like when it comes to being a musician, it's huge. It's huge. And it's hard to do. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I even had that when I was younger as I was growing. And it's just like when you start getting, you're just like, you know that you're like, man, I know that I'm pretty good. I know that I got something, like that nobody else has or whatever. It's tough to like kind of get through that because you're just like, oh, you know what? I worked for this. I should be able to like, be a little bit boastful. But no. It's not helping you get anywhere by being boastful. It may be good for your ego and may boost your ego and may makes you feel good. Like, yeah, I know I did this. I worked. I practiced 17 hours yesterday. I know I'm good. Like the thing is that no, for people, like, it doesn't matter if it's at a church setting. It doesn't matter if it's at a concert setting. If you're on a tour, if you're in the studio, nobody likes that person that is a little bit of a butt, okay? Who's just going to be like, you can't tell them anything. The thing is that they can tell you a lot of things, okay? And I know that not everybody's going to agree with this video within this particular topic, but the thing is that the best musicians are the ones, and the ones that get hired the most that I've noticed all around are the most humble people. There's musicians that I know that are prodigy. I don't even know how do I even know you as you are so incredible, but they're the most humble people you've ever met. And you could tell them anything and they will literally, if they're right, they will still try to change it for you. They'll still try to figure out what you mean. So I need to do this. And this is the thing, and this is the big part of this, is that you have to be able to take criticism well, because whenever you're playing as a musician, you're not playing necessarily just for yourself. You're playing for if you're playing in church, you're playing for the Lord, you're playing for God, you're playing for ministry. If you're playing at a concert, you're playing on a gig, you're playing for an artist. You're playing for you're playing studio, you're playing for an artist. The thing is that they hired you so their sound, their music, their voice can be heard better because they feel like you have something that they don't. But the thing is, you can't let that get to you to where it's just like, oh, well, I have something they don't. No. Honestly, there's too many people in the world that are incredibly talented. You're not the most talented person in the world. That's what you have to realize. And that's the reason why, like I said before, I go to Instagram and I look. That's literally the most humbling moment for me. Is go look on Instagram, go look on YouTube and see oh my gosh, who is Derek Bennett? Who is these incredible, who's Rocco Palladino? And that's the reason why I do it, because I know that every time you can't let your head get so big that you're just floating over the mountains. You have to be able to be humble, because those are the kind of people that artists want to be around. Those are the kind of people that people who want to give opportunities to you want to be around. If you're going to get hired, one of the biggest thing is be humble. All right, my third topic, or my third way that will help you get gigs, I feel like, is to have a good attitude. Having a good attitude is it kind of goes in a little bit with the being humble, but I feel like this is one that needs to be a point, because I feel like a lot of times we can get so bent out of shape, we can let our attitude affect our playing, and that is something we have to be careful of, because as a professional, when you go into any scenario, as a professional, you're going to be put in a lot of scenarios, scenarios where it's just hey, you're the only musician and we don't have anything on this track, or hey, we just had to fire the other guy and you're the person that we get to replace, or you're going to get into these really random scenarios, and you have to have a good attitude no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what, if you're just man, my car just broke down, I just got to, all this kind of stuff. And and you're coming to a session, you can't let that baggage show when you're working. This is like, you have to be professional. This is why they call musicians professional musicians. It's not necessarily just their skill and talent, because there's a lot of people with talent. There's a lot of people with skill, but there's not a lot of people that are professional. Like, professionalism is not just something where you're just so good that like, oh, I know I'm a professional musician because I'm better than this person that he records all the time. No, what a professional is a mindset. It's an attitude. It's all encompassing. Okay. Because when I go into a session, if I was sick, I was just like really didn't want to be there or anything like that, I can't let that show. I just got to be like, hey, I'm here. It was a guy that told me, he's a seasoned musician here in Nashville. He's an incredible session musician. He always told me, he said, the people who are the best musicians are the ones that can come into a situation, a scenario, and be in the worst mood, be completely sick, be like, do not want to be there in any case, and still perform, and still be able to get something out of the session, still be able to get it out. Because that is the biggest thing, is that you do not want to be that person that gets like tied up. I mean, like if you're in the hospital or like you really can't like do it, I would just cancel it, whatever. But when it comes to like, I've just got a little cold, you just got to get in there. You got to get in there. You just got to work. And that's something that really, really helps. And people see that. People see that, like, even though like they may not even know about it until later after the fact, and like be like, man, I had no idea you were going through this, and you came and did this for me. Somebody did something for me, and they didn't in their heart, like they had all these things going on. They still came and did it for me and performed and did it well and did it to the best of their ability. You know what? That's somebody who I'm going to call again, because that person had a good attitude and they were professional. All right, number 4, be early, not just on time, okay? Because this is the thing, is that we're not thinking in our heads that, oh man, what if I run into traffic? Oh man, what if, like, do I have gas in my car? Oh, how far is this from where I'm at? I personally, you can ask my wife, you can ask anybody that I'm around. This used to be me. Really bad, okay? Got better, and I got out of that and like started getting more professional and started like, okay, this place is 30 minutes from me. So I'm going to have to I need to plan to leave at least 35 to 40 minutes early, because just in case something happens with traffic or anything like that. Because what happens is that you have someone, an artist that you're playing with, a church service you're playing, a conference you're playing with, whatever it is, and they've rented time, or they put all this money into like renting this rehearsal studio that the artist has, or like the management's going to be there, and they see that you're not on time. Okay. That is not a good way to start off a relationship with anybody in business or anybody in music or anything. It's like they want to see that you are there and you're ready to go, because that shows that you care about their artists. One, and it also shows that you care about them. You care about their event. If it's a conference, it's a church service, you care about them. So we have to calculate, hey, I've got to set up my pedals. I need to get a lay of the land. I may need to get there 10 to 15 minutes early just to do that. That is something you need to do, because the thing is that even if you get there 10, 15 minutes early and it's like a super easy setup, plug and go, you're still there. You're there first, and they'll be like, people remember that. People really do remember what time you get there. Be early, not just on time. All right, my 5th and last way, and last, I guess, bit of advice. This is really crucial. This is one that a lot of us take for granted, especially if you're really talented and you could pick up stuff like that, or if it's like some kind of worship song, or if it's, something super easy, is that you won't listen to or learn your music. And this is my last topic. Always learn your music. It doesn't matter what it is. And here in Nashville, we have this thing, like professionalism is so high here. Like, I remember one of the first times I ever came here, somebody was like, hey, I want to get you to play with me, this worship service or whatever. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, when is rehearsal? But sorry, we don't have any time, for rehearsal. You're just going to come in the day of, the service and just be ready to go. And that's like, I was like, what? Well, hold on, what? How many thousands of people? And we're no rehearsal? I was like, what? It's so, honestly, it was one of the best things that happened for me, because I put all this time and effort into learning it. And so when I got there, played through every song once and just made notes, and that was it. and that we were good to go because everybody in the band knew their music. Because of music nowadays are like more 4 or 5 chord songs, we can always take it for granted. But sometimes there's little moments that people want in there, that they're in those songs that you're not thinking about. You're just thinking about, oh, this is the general progression, I'll figure it out when I get there. No, you've got to figure it out then. You've got to learn your music. And also you have to find the best way that works for you, okay? Like sometimes people are better with charts. For some reason, like I am not a charts person. Like I write charts like when I would play at a lot of conferences where there's a lot of different songs, or if I play on a tour or something where it's a house band and you have to learn everybody's songs. It's a lot of music where the ones that will sneak by you so quick, they're really sly. And those easy songs, they seem so easy, and they're like, oh, it's only 6-4-1-5. Oh, it's only 1-5-6-4. It's only 4-5-6-1. Like, so that's why you have to write them down. Learn how to use some type of notes, even if it's not an exact chart or sheet music or anything like that. You got to be able to have some way of doing that. Find your method of learning your music, and always know your music, even before rehearsal. Remember, rehearsals are to rehearse, not to learn. The thing is that when you have people who are paying you, they expect a certain level out of you. So just make sure you always learn your music. All right, if you guys have any questions about any of the things that I covered today, feel free, as always, leave a comment below, or you can hit me up on my Instagram at @tdykes. If you want to like get in more depth, like a conversation about like, you know, how do I actually get full-time? What are some things, what are some ways that I can, you know, get myself out there or whatever? Feel free to hit me up, talk to me about it. The thing is that I am here for you. I am here for you. That's the reason why I made this whole channel, is because I want to help you. I want to help everyone who wants to do this, because this is not something that anybody should hoard. This is something that everybody should try to help and to get people there as well, because I'm not the only musician that's doing this. There's so many musicians, and the thing is, I will be there for you. And so if you have any questions, hit me up. For real. If you haven't liked this video already, go ahead and like it. It helps, you know, get the YouTube, beat the YouTube algorithm and get these videos out there. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit that bell right beside it, because whenever you hit that bell, you're always the first person to know when the newest videos are being posted. And if there's anything when I'm going live or anything like that comes up, you'll be the first one to know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.